Hello. Welcome to the live call for Purposeful Driven Women. It's such an amazing time, isn't it? This time of year. And I am so excited to bring forward Victoria Shaw. And we met together through mindbodyspirit.fm. So, Diane, if you're watching, we so appreciate you. And before I begin, though, I just wanted to show this off. Hopefully you can see it and I can still talk at the same time, as StreamYard is new to me. So this is not coming up, and that's okay. I can figure it out later. But I'm going to bring up Victoria. We're going to talk about this amazing retreat that we're going to co-host together at her beautiful Cactus Blossom Retreat Center. So welcome, Victoria. Thank you so much for being here with me and with everyone here today.
Thank you, April. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat.
I know. This is just amazing. Everything that we have done up to this point, and really purposeful, all right, as we are purposefully driven women, and we want more for others to really be able to tap into their own intuition, as that's what you do with your clients. Victoria, can you just unpack that a little bit about what that looks like?
Yeah, for sure. So, we all have this inner GPS system, this inner knowing that keeps us on track to having the most joyous, purposeful, intentional lives. And that's our intuition. And when we learn to listen to that rather than all the noise chatter of our minds that most of us have been taught to plug into, life becomes amazing. It becomes easier. It becomes more peaceful. It becomes more joyous. And when we, have those occasional struggles, we have this built-in way of knowing how to navigate them, in the easiest and most effortless way possible. And again, so what I've been doing now for about a decade and a half is helping people learn to awaken their intuition and live their lives more from that divinely guided place. And I do this through individual intuitive readings, which I'll be giving a few little mini ones here today if we have some time. But I also do this through a lot of teaching. I have a podcast, which April's been a guest on, Intuitive Connection. And I do a lot of teaching and speaking and traveling because I wanted to help as many people as possible learn more and more to harness, the power of their higher selves.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's really needed. I truly believe that we tend to forget that we have our own intuition to connect to really give us more of a foundation of support, so we don't second guess ourselves.
Yeah. And there's a mind way of doing things, which is trying to figure it out and trying to, ascertain, all the things that we've learned about how the world should work, about who we are, what we're good at, what we're not good at, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. That's all mind chatter to me. And then there's your soul guidance that, knows who you really are, that knows what you really want, that knows the best path for getting there, that knows what your soul, that what you came here to express in this human adventure. And that all that information is available to us when we learn to listen to our intuition. And it's really a game changer. It's a totally different way of living your life, but it is just so much more delicious and delightful and purposeful in the deeper sense, because I think that ultimately for each and every one of us, our deeper purpose is to be here on earth at this time, living more and more in alignment with the full magnificence of our spiritual selves, of our souls, of our inner being. So I like to help people do that. And also because it feels good and it's fun, which is the guiding force in my life nowadays.
Oh, that's so true. And I feel that, there's a lot of contrast. There's a lot of things that are happening in our lives to where we get distracted. And again, I'm bringing it back to we forget that
Yeah.
intuition is that intuitive guidance. So how do you get there? I just want for us to kind of unpack that. I'll share my aspects of it, and then uh,
Sure.
and yours. So when we ask about how do we get there, how do we get into that intuitive guidance? And for me, the first thing is meditation. Meditation is my go-to. It takes practice, and meditation isn't about, well, it could be sitting in a quiet room, or it could be just a meditative walk. It could be when you're in the shower. I think a lot of people think that meditation is about being so quiet and pushing everything out of your mind, which is impossible. Okay, you're going to have, I call it the snow globe effect, right? There's always flakes flying around, there's always something happening in there. And when we are able to kind of quiet our mind a little bit more and allow those flakes to settle, then that's when we get those little hits. We get those, oh, like a thought comes in that we hadn't had before, and that's the intuition. And not only meditation but the breath work. So the breath work helps us to move the energy. It helps us to be in that space, to witness what's happening within ourselves, and to just release that tension, release that the scattered, this static, right, that it's kind of around us, from the environments, from our thoughts, from all the other things. And then the Reiki. So for me, offering the guided Reiki meditations during the retreat really helps us to kind of settle into the body. And Reiki is beautiful at helping to just support us mentally, physically, and emotionally, and bring that cohesiveness back to ourselves. And in that space, wow, things just start flowing in. And that's where Victoria comes in, um, to help support us, because being in that space and being aware, then how are we leaning in and listening?
Yeah. And the way I think about it is your intuition is always working for you. That information is always available. We have multiple channels of energy that we can tune into. And but most of us have been taught to tune into the mind channel, right? That's where our energy and attention goes. And usually the mind channel that we play the most is one that has self-criticism, that has a lot of shoulding, that has a lot of fear, that has a lot of musts. It's not it's not the best feeling show. But we tune into it again and again because A, it's our habit, and B, because we've actually been conditioned and taught to go look there first, right? So part of tapping into our intuition is learning to undo some of that programming. But the first step, and this is what you mentioned, is learning to still the mind. Because if the mind is really loud and we have the volume on that channel tuned up really, really loud, we're not going to be able to hear anything else. We're not going to be able to hear anything else. So things like breath work and Reiki and meditation are all ways that we can get present. They all offer us that ability to get present, to quiet the mind. And then we can start to tune into those higher frequencies where all the good stuff is. Okay. And where your intuition lives and lies. So I love all of those practices. Another big one for me where I receive a lot of my guidance is moving near water or in nature. And at the retreat, we're going to do some mind. I mean, the whole place is just beautiful natural setting, and just being there will raise your vibe just by being. It's just an energy vortex. It's amazing. But we'll also do some guided hikes, some mindful hiking. And that can be really powerful as well, like just to learn to quiet the mind. So I get a lot of guidance for myself when I'm moving my body in natural surroundings. But it's different for everyone. And really the first step in tapping into your intuition, believe it or not, is start to know where it's already happening. Because it is for everyone all the time. And a lot of times we're just going like this, or we're hearing it and we're discounting it, or we're looking away, or we're not sure. But as you start to recognize where it's already flowing, and sometimes we do this by journaling and looking back at things that we, knew that we didn't know how we knew when they were right, then we start to learn, how our intuition speaks to us. We start to get comfortable, rekindling that connection. And also because of the law of attraction, what we focus on grows, right? So just by focusing your energy on your intuition, you're going to strengthen it. You're going to invite it more in. You're going to shift the momentum towards living a more intuitively guided life, which to me is the only way to do it nowadays.
Oh, most definitely. And I so appreciate you bringing that up, because where our attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
But first, I want to welcome in some viewers here that we have. Darcy, she's here. Blanca, thank you for being here. Yes, it is live, and people can watch the recordings. Jeanette, so good to have you here. And Leanna, so wonderful to have everybody here. And Susanna, Sister Susanna, oh my gosh, I hope that you're able to make the little trek from Oregon down the West Coast to San Diego. I would absolutely love to have you as part of the Purposeful Driven Women, because Susanna is out there. She is doing so much on so many levels. Check out Susanna. She is amazing. And she's also part of the Hounds. So any Hounds here, I really appreciate you ladies. And that's just a little thing. Oh, you shrunk.
I just, I just,
She's just shrunk.
Don't worry
So
about
anybody with the Hounds here, we're offering a little special incentive for you. Whether you choose the full retreat with accommodations, full retreat just for the day pass if you live in the area and don't want to stay on the property, or a special perk that we're offering is a 1 day for Saturday day pass for the full day. You can definitely take advantage of all the wonderful resources that we'll be offering. So there's so much for anybody that's curious to venture with us. And so, yeah, Victoria, I cannot wait to see that Cactus Blossom Retreat Center. I know it's absolutely stunning. Sister CJ, Dr. Constance Leland was out there, saw your property, met you. She fell in love with you and the property, of course. And there's a YouTube video out there as well that has your property on it. So I will also include that in the comments so people can check it out, because it is stunning. Yeah. And as you said, the environment, right? It really is about the environment when we are setting our intentions, when we want to be purposeful, when we want to fill ourselves, right, with those intentions of becoming more. And that's another reason why we wanted to create this retreat, is so that women can come together, like-minded women who are either business leaders, entrepreneurs, those of service, women who show up for others and give so much, and yet feel that there's some sort of block. They might feel that they've reached a dead end, or they just need more direction in where they want to go, whether in their personal life or their professional life. So that's the, no pun intended, intention for the retreat. And Susanna, that would be lovely. So I'm putting that intention out there for you, sending you positive vibes for you to make it, sister. So thank you for considering that, Susanna. And with this call, Victoria has graciously offered to do an intuitive reading. So I see that there are a handful of people watching. I don't think everybody has made a comment. Please comment ask a question. Would that be helpful, Victoria, for them to ask?
Yeah, what the best thing to do in this kind of setting is if you have a question, something you'd like me to focus on, I just need your name and your question, and then I will see how many of you I can get to today.
Okay.
You can ask
Yeah.
anything that you'd like guidance on, that you feel comfortable in a public setting, being streamed in
Yeah.
multiple places.
Yeah. I'm just putting that in the chat. Post a
Okay.
question. So that way people will know what to do.
Yeah.
And I've had readings before, and what I love about getting an intuitive reading is that,
There's the chat.
yeah, there's the chat.
I was in the
Jeanette
wrong
says,
page.
I'm
Go
74
ahead.
and still purposeful. Yes, you are, Jeanette. I love that. I love your energy. I love that you're showing up. And there's so much more past 74, isn't there? Uh, Numbers are not limiting. So here is
Yeah.
a question from Blanca. I would love to get guidance on starting my workshop. I have a lot of fear around it, and that is so true. And I will let Victoria tap into that, Blanca. Thank you for asking. Thank you for your vulnerability and sharing that with us.
All right, Blanca. So I'm just tuning into your energy a little bit, and I see you as a very gentle and creative person. And creativity can be artistic if that is the thing, but it can also be just in presenting and creating. Okay, and that's just the first thing I'm tuning into. And I get an image of you with like a piece of paper, and you're trying to write something, and your hand's kind of shaking because you're not really sure how it's going to be received, and you're not really sure you're going to get it right. And it's very interesting, my friend, because when I get into this image, I also see you with your left hand. So you're writing with your right hand and your right hand shaking. But it's like your left hand kind of already knows what to do. Okay. So I'm just putting that out there. I don't know really where it's going with that, but it's this feeling of not trusting yourself is because you're trying to make it all right and you're worried about how it's going to be received, I think, rather than just flowing into what it is that you want to do. So that's the first piece that comes out. The second thing that keeps popping into my mind, and this one is so interesting, but I think it's going to be really helpful for you. I'm someone who sometimes would feel a little bit shy and a little bit like socially awkward, especially if I was meeting new people. And it's funny now because I moved cross country and where I knew no one, and I've made a whole new, and I'm not really like that anymore out of necessity. But there was a long period of my life where I would be like really uncomfortable, right? I was meeting new people. And the thing that I learned is that rather than focusing on my own nervousness and my own discomfort, I would focus on making other people comfortable. Like maybe finding someone else who looked uncomfortable. How could I support them? Because when I thought about what other people needed, it kind of got me out of worrying about, if I was doing a good job or if I was cool or if I knew what to do socially. Because all of a sudden now I'm oriented in a different way. So your guides are saying a couple of things. One, let your creativity shine. And don't worry about the teacher coming in and saying, you draw an A like this, like stop putting the little heart, heart around it or whatever. I don't know how you get a heart out of an A, but you get my drift. So that's part one. But then part two is, there's going to be a part three to it, but part two is, focus on what you're doing for others, because I think that will take you out of yourself on this one. You won't worry so much because you'll be thinking about making other people comfortable, and then the next thing you know, you'll be super comfortable. And then the third one, and I want to get this right there, and I want to just tune into you one last time, okay? The third thing is, and this is a more general teaching thing, we often think that in order to move forward when there's fear or there's obstacles, that we have to face the obstacle head on, right? I have to wrestle that fear to the ground so that it's dead. And I would invite you to have a slightly different perspective. I would invite you to let the fear be there, right? Because true bravery isn't defeating your fear, right? True bravery is doing things despite the fact that you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Right? And so don't let your fear be the determination about what you should or shouldn't do or how you should or shouldn't do it. Be gentle with yourself, take little minor steps forward. Start with things that you're comfortable with if you want, or for you, I feel you might just want to dive in head first and say, fear be damned. Like, I got this. Okay? And I think you're going to find great success. So I hope that makes sense. All right. Should I do
I was muted. So sorry.
another
I
one?
was muted. So sorry. That is wonderful, wonderful feedback. Bianca responded. I love it. I love the third one.
Thought you would.
Yeah. Yes. And isn't it true, though, Victoria? Everybody that's here on the call, even though one person's getting this message, really it's a collective. So I'm sure something resonated with each one of you. Um, you know, the fear be damned. I'm like, that needs to be a bumper sticker.
Yeah. And
I
again,
love it.
but we do, it's really funny. I was just recording an episode for the podcast about choosing your word, if that's something that you do for 2025. And last year I was hiking with a friend at the beginning of 2024, and she told me her word of the year was fear. And I was like, why on earth would you choose the word fear? Like, why would you want to focus your energy there? And, her reasoning was because I want to finally just release it all and not be dictated by it. And so we talked about that a little bit. What we focus on grows, friends. But it's a part of human life. It's going to come up. Right. But we just don't have to be defined by it. I said, how would you like to feel when all the fear is gone? And she said, free, inspired, peaceful. I said, why don't you choose one of those for your word?
Yes.
Why don't you make your word freedom this year? Right. Because that's
Yeah.
really where we want to focus. But so many of us have been taught that we have to overcome the problem rather than just shifting our energy towards what we'd like to experience instead.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Yes. And then we have
Jeanette.
I'm just adding another one, from fear to freedom, right? That's exactly what you're saying here. And doesn't that feel so much better?
Yeah.
And recognizing, kind of lean into it, right? Make it your friend. Make it, it's not the horrible enemy. It's showing up. It's part of us that we have had that conditioning, and really it's about the risks. We're fearful of risks, and for me, risks equals growth, right?
Yeah.
That's how we grow, when we face those fears and want more for ourselves. So that's perfect. Thank you,
Yeah.
Victoria, and thank you so much, Blanca, for asking,
Yeah.
right? See, asked, and all these people are receiving with you, including Jeanette. So Jeanette has a question for you, Victoria.
Yeah.
Any clue for me to get through the emotional ups and downs of the season? Oh,
Jeanette,
that's just so appropriate.
yeah. And Jeanette, you personally, I know a little bit about you, because we've met once, but you're on Facebook a lot with me. But when I'm tuning into your energy, irregardless of what I know about you, is you've had a lot of grief. You've had a lot of loss. You've had a lot of people in your life, I feel, that haven't shown up for you the way that they could have. And I think too, you've just had a lot of that kind of energy. So I feel like for you, and this can be for many of us, the holidays bring some of that up for you. And a lot of those losses and a lot of those feelings, if I'm reading you correctly, of like, why couldn't this in the past have been the way I want it to? So for this season, what your guides are inviting you to do is make it your own. Make it your own rather than being past focused. And, sometimes things might come up, and then please hug yourself through them. But, what would be fun for me now? What traditions would like to create for myself now, moving forward with a blank slate? Because oftentimes we feel like we are almost like shackled by the past. We have to undo it. We have to heal it. We have to recover from it. We have to correct it. And nothing could be further from the truth, friends. The past is over. Sometimes the remnants of it, the memories of it, the whispers of it, the momentum of it still crowds into our today. But each time it does, it offers us a fresh opportunity to refocus on what we'd like to be experiencing differently now. So I love that. What would be fun for me now? Beautiful. You're good at this, my friend. Um, so I would invite you, Jeanette, to find some traditions for this year that really excite you. And that might be like signing up for like a group meditation or doing something with friends or creating like a little quiet intention setting on New Year's Eve, or but just some things. And I would keep asking myself, what would Jeanette like to do right now? Right? I don't mean to talk about yourself in the third person, but that's how it comes through. Like, what would I like to do right now? What would bring joy for me? Because I think there's been a lot of obligation and there's a lot of shoulding in your space where you feel like you did not show up for other people because they're blaming you. But I don't see that as true, my friend. Now is your time to let go of what other people think. Know that you did your best. You continue to do your best. And ask yourself, what would be fun for me? And I also think that if you ask yourself what will be fun for me, other people that you care about might get involved, but on your terms, not theirs. So I hope that makes sense. If you have a follow-up question, you let me know, but I'm letting that go. And Blanca was saying, yeah, grief can be a big one during the holidays because a lot of that past where things weren't, the way that we perceive they should be or the way we perceived other people have them, because everyone else seems to be having the perfect time on the holidays. Of course, we don't know the inside of someone else's life or their story, but so sometimes it does bring up those losses, and sometimes we have real losses, like a family member that we can't celebrate with anymore, or a friend that's moved across the country. So that can be real for us too. And so allowing that to be there, holding ourselves through it is so important. And also remembering each moment is a new moment to create your new now and your new life moving forward. And so you can bring yourself back to, what would I like to be experiencing more of now? Right? Irregardless of what came before. How would I like to use the raw materials of my past and my life to be who I want to be more and more in the future, and bring in more and more of what I want to experience in the now and moving forward. Yay! I guess that landed.
Jeanette is very, very happy about that. Yes, for sure. And again, as Jeanette asked, and the grief came up, then Blanca, right? You perfectly shared that you are experiencing grief as well. We do miss our loved ones during this time of year. There's been special memories and things that we've shared with them, although I like to remind everyone that they are with us even more during this time of year. They've never left us. They're right here. They're around us. I truly believe that you can still talk to them. You can write a letter, however that works for you, to ease that ache, that longingness, that we feel, that separation from them. But it's more of but they're here even more than they could be when they were alive in this material world. I know this for a fact because my mother had passed, oh my goodness, 27 years ago. And I feel her more now. And this is when we can tune into that intuition, right? When we can be at peace and accept that they've transitioned and know that they're pure love, pure love. And that way, when we have that ease, then we can see those little signs, whether it's the penny, whether it's the cardinal, whether it's a song that comes on the radio. They're always with us, our loved ones. And they never leave us. And the more we can tune in and just accept and be there, then things just start happening even more so for ourselves. Yeah. Any other questions? We're at 3:32. We have one more reading
Yeah.
for Victoria.
And in the meantime, I love what you said, and I think it's so true. As someone too, Blanca, I lost both of my parents in 2023. And, as we, first of all, they're always around you and they're always connecting with you. But again, when you're in your grief process, it's sometimes a little bit harder to connect. So I always say, know they're there, know they love you, and know, as April said, that they love you even more deeply and clearly than they could express when they were in human form. Because when we cross over, we lose all of the masks and layers and confusions and illusions that often keep us from expressing our unconditional love truly and completely in the human space. So know that they are holding that candle for you now. They love you. And for you specifically, I think that you hear them a lot when you sleep. So be open to that. But they're there all the time. Hey, Michelle, we got time for one more question. Do you want one? Because I gotta run. My workday
Michelle is
starts
here.
pretty soon.
Yeah, Blanca, she says, yes, they just passed away in September, November. And she agrees with you right now. It's hard for me to connect with them. Yeah, it's still raw.
Yeah.
It's still in that grief,
Mhm.
state. And it's not right or wrong. And everybody grieves in their own way. So allowing that to move through you, and knowing that they are right there with you, Blanca. Thank you so much. We so appreciate you and your tender heart coming on here and sharing with us, and for Jeanette to spark that as well. Michelle does have a quick question
Okay.
for you, Victoria.
All right. I will tune into your guides. I don't usually answer these kinds of questions, but we'll see what they have to say nonetheless. I'm not a future telling psychic. I'm more of a help you. Do you want to find a new job in 2025? Yes, you do. But let me see what they say about your job finding a mission. And I feel at the moment right now, you're feeling pretty stuck. You're feeling pretty stuck and you're not feeling a lot of momentum and you're feeling like it's been a long time. I don't know. It feels like you might be employed, but either underemployed or not doing what you want to do. And there's a lot of, if I'm reading you correctly, a lot of frustrated energy around this journey. And a frustrated energy where it's well earned, we don't want to fight it. It sometimes just means that how do I say this, that you're focusing in a direction that's it's not helpful to keep focusing on that. But what they say are a couple of things. They say, and I want to get this right from your guides and not from your mind, so hold on. Okay. So what they're telling me is in the past, there's been some frustrations around your work life, some frustrations around your jobs, some frustration around a job that you're either in now. I do feel like you're employed, but you can clarify that for me, or a job that you recently had. And there's just still a lot of frustration for how that went. It feels like at one point in your career, things were flowing very beautifully and you had a lot of self confidence and everything was really, really strong and going well. But something not so long ago went a little awry and you kind of lost your footing and you kind of lost your balance and you haven't really rediscovered it yet. Okay. And so, what they want you to focus on for 2025 is where do you feel free? Where do you feel enjoyment, right? Where do you feel competent and capable? And within your current job, where do you feel like things are flowing well? Okay, because the more you focus on, I'm in this toxic environment, I'm trapped, I can't breathe, it's harder for you to jump ship to the next boat. Okay, because the energy that you're sending out is not resonant with what you want to receive. Now, that said, not a future telling psychic, but they're giving me the future anyway. I do see, when I see this boat analogy, my beautiful friend, I do see another ship alongside of the one that you're currently on. And I do feel like either you're on I never know the two sides, the port, the whatever, you're on the one side, it's on the other side of the ship. So you might not see it's there yet. It's parallel with yours. But if you are starting to feel like something else is there, I would love for you to start exploring it. I feel probably within the first 2 to 3 months of 2025, hopefully that boat will become a little bit more visible to you, and you will be able to make a decision if you will leave where you are now to go there. Okay, does that make sense? And I want to there's one more thing that wants to come through, so I want to get quiet and really get it. And what they say is, and I want to just tune in to see this. I see you writing. What is she working on? This is what I was getting before too. There is a possibility that you may write a resignation letter, that you may let go of this as a point of, I'm done, it's over, I don't really want to do this anymore. Like, this is not okay. And even if you just do it in your mind, just to get it off your chest, and don't actually mail it or send it, but you may want to mail it or send it, that will facilitate you getting a new job. Okay, because it feels like there's a little bit of, you're so busy on this boat that you don't see the other one that's right there. That would be a better fit, if that makes sense. Okay. But I do think that either way, you're probably going to get off this boat this year. The boat might be sinking anyway, so it might be just a little bit of a paddle. But sometimes it really is helpful for us. And again, not telling you what to do. You know your finances, you know your life, but sometimes it is helpful for us to clear the decks of one thing to find something else. Okay. So if that's something you've been considering doing, your guides say it's not the worst choice, especially if there are other things on the horizon that are pretty close, and other options. You probably would be able to grab one of those. Okay. But I'm not telling you have to quit. I'm just telling you to start focusing your attention elsewhere so that you can bring in that little ladder to the next ship for yourself before this one goes down. All right. I hope that helped, my friend. Good luck to you.
Yeah, that was great. And also, it is about, just as Michelle was asking, you know, am I going to find a new job? She wants to pivot. She wants to change. She wants something new. We want to feel seen, heard, and valued. We want to know that we have a purpose, whether it is in our personal or our private lives. And when we're in that purposeful space, then we really feel more engaged, more uplifted. We have more confidence, don't we, Victoria, when we're more purposeful and we're connected and understanding of what direction I'm going in. And this is the key element. This is why we created this retreat for purposeful driven women, women that want more, that maybe are feeling this overwhelm, as you know, Michelle was talking about. And we have other people who have just popped in really quick. So thank you for being here. That's Michelle Ward. I so appreciate you being here, friend. And also, for me, because I've been there, I've so been there, doing all the work, jumping through the hoops, checking off the boxes, and still feeling not purposeful. And so when we can release those tensions, as we're going to be experiencing with this retreat, this immersion retreat in person in Escondido, California, at the Cactus Blossom Retreat Center that Victoria owns, then when we're in that space of letting that go, of just sloughing that off and being seen in this sanctuary support of other like-minded women, we can relax and receive more of our intuition and discover more about ourselves. And this is where Victoria comes in with her intuitive workshop and a group reading that we'll experience. And we have all sorts of other amazing things that we're going to be also sharing, with sound healing, with gentle yoga, with, as Victoria alluded in the beginning, a hike, right? She's going to walk us on a mindfulness hike. So there's packages on my website. The link is in the description of this. Please check it out. Please know that whatever you choose will be perfect for you. And also, I just wanted to see if I could bring up again the QR code. So I know we're here. I'm just going to remove Victoria. I'm going to bring you back up, but I'm going to remove her. Oops. Nope, it's not working that way.
You can see the
So you
QR
can see
code.
the
I
QR
can.
code up in the corner. Take a picture of that, open it up. You'll see the different packages that we offer. And really, our intention is to provide this amazing space for you and others. If you know any other women who are open and willing to venture to San Diego. Maybe, bring a friend. How awesome would that be? Because we have on-site accommodations too, or the day passes for people who live in the area. But we really want everybody to understand that it's about coming together, being able to find ways to relax, tune into your intuition, so that way you find more guidance and clarity to your internal compass. Any last words, Victoria, before we go?
Sure. I would say too, like as we had that beautiful image of the from Michelle of the ship, right? Like sometimes you're on the ship and the ship is your daily life, right? And it's rocking and it's raining and you're trying to like get the sails, battened down, and you're focused on all the stuff that's coming at you in the now, right? Sometimes when we can get you off the ship, or at least get the ship aground, like a nice, quiet little desert island. We're not an island, but we're a beautiful mountaintop residence. When you can get, out of your life a little bit, out of the stressors, out of all the stuff coming at you, and physically like quiet down for a couple of days. Get back with yourself. Let go of all the stressors. Let go of all the stories. Right? Just breathe. Magical things can happen. Magical things can happen. Sometimes we need that little pause, that little retreat from our lives to recenter, to restore, to renew, to re-energize, and to reconnect. And then, when you go back, everything's brand new and you're looking everything from a fresh perspective and you have that clean slate and you're ready to roll. So I really wanted to point that out too, because it can be so important, because a lot of times when we're in the day-to-day of our lives, we don't see all the potential and the opportunities available to us, because we're just so in it. And sometimes when we can come up to the top of the mountain, and that does check when you're at the top of the mountain, right? And we see that whole view. When we go back down into the valley again, we know where we're at and we know what to do.
I love that. I love that because we could see more clearly, going up. Um,
Yeah.
Although, we have to be willing to do the work to get to the top.
Yeah. Well, it's just, you can take the car.
Yeah. Take an Uber.
I don't
Yes.
actually, I have walked the hill to get to the top of Cactus Blossom Retreat, and I don't
Oh,
recommend it unless your knees are really strong.
okay.
But
Okay.
anyway,
Got it.
I'm just messing with you, my friend.
Oh, wonderful. So, Via asked, where do we find the details of the retreat? So you can scan the QR code there at the top of the screen, or you can visit my website. I put the link in the chat and also in the description of this call, wherever you're looking at, there's the link there. So thank you all. Thank you for tuning in. We so appreciate you. Thank you, Victoria, for being here, for offering those beautiful readings. You are simply a treasure, and I am grateful to be on this journey with you, my friend. So
Thank
thank you.
you.
And I will roll the outro video, and we hope to see you in Escondido, February 20th through the 23rd. And until then, be well. Reach out, DM us for any questions.